Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. Have you ever thought much about your job, or more specifically, how much you love or hate it? If you are a normal human being and are in fact involved in a daily job for an employer other than yourself, you have to think about that on a somewhat regular basis, this puppet would think. Now focus just a moment on everything we have heard basically since the China virus pandemic. All we have heard is that businesses cannot get enough, quote, quality or even, quote, experienced employees to fill their staffing needs anymore. What has dramatically shifted? How could it even be possible that an entire generation of potential workers would so suddenly just cut out and run? My loyal viewers, there is far more here than is being let on, but anyone who has worked within certain job roles or career fields knows within the core of their being. Anyone doing the daily grind these days senses in their spirit the things I am about to talk about. Myself, I've worked for several decades in industry and certainly have some insights as to why there is much animosity and even acrimony between so many employers and the people they employ these days. But I have also heard from others in a variety of career fields, and all with similar opinions of the things that have essentially ruined the modern day work culture. With letters from more than a few writers in hand, allow me to offer some puppet insight into the situation at hand. A middle-aged gentleman writes, Puppet, I have been working for 20 plus years as an auto mechanic. While many jobs at our shop are somewhat easy and even enjoyable, we of course also get the difficult ones where you are going to have to put in the hours. Though all of this used to be both personally and professionally rewarding, I somewhat regretfully have to say that this has now changed for the worse over much of my career. Sure, we mechanics always have had to go by Chilton's manuals for estimated times per specific job, but of late it has gotten to the case at more than a few auto shops that we are pressured on every job to get them out quicker and quicker, and often at the risk of making mistakes. You and I both know that no one wants to drive a car or truck that the mechanic has not put careful thought into its repairs. But unfortunately, we are being pressed daily to make very tough ethical decisions in order to meet the demands of our employers. I would also be inclined to say that much of the enjoyment of this career field has been drained by greedy shop owners who are mainly interested in putting more dollars in their own pockets, all at the expense of overworked employees and even scammed customers. Okay, my viewers, that is merely one. Let us also take a look at letter number 2. Having worked for a decade now in banking, let me tell you my story. I started out as a drive-thru teller. The daily grind mostly involved helping customers at the drive-thru lanes to get their business accomplished as expediently and as pleasantly as possible. Then, having done really well in that role, I was moved into the customer service rep role. That job mainly encapsulated addressing customer complaints, concerns, and any other needs that might arise. Again, the goal being to make the customer as happy as much as possible, all within our organizational guidelines, of course. The bigger drawback I have personally witnessed during my career to date has been the push toward working shorter staffed, and that often with more and more multitasking required. As you and I both know, that often leads to frustration, and end results are not optimal for the end customers. Okay, loyal viewers, onward ho! I've heard from a mechanical engineer. He reports that the majority of companies he has worked for the past 20 plus years have the same big problem. What he describes are pressure-packed dictatorships that do not allow engineers the freedom to actually engineer, but rather tell them exactly how to engineer their products, not according to safety-critical criteria, but sloppy practices of getting things quickly out the door, and often at the expense of safety, all in heavy pursuit of dollars in their bank accounts as fast as humanly possible. Here are his words. What we have at my current employer is a situation where they are under pressure because orders are coming in at record pace. But they only have 3 of us who can actually design their products on the computer using special software. So we are all told we must work extra hours and get the products designed as quickly as possible. Stress is at an all-time high, and some of my coworkers are alcoholics to battle the stress. I myself have a strong faith in God, and that gets me through, but it does take its toll over time. They have advertised for but cannot find other engineers who know how to utilize the software well, so the ones they have that know it well are then abused. Do you see a problem with this, puppet? I've worked other places in the past that use different engineering software that is more popular. Those places tend to pressure the engineers in an entirely different way. Instead, they have a continual hiring phase among engineers, always bringing in lower paid people behind you, ready to drive the knife into your back at the first opportunity. And so, my viewers, I've shared 3 accounts of the current work culture in the United States. Is there a common thread among them? Yes, of course. That is a constant environment of downward pressure upon the employees. Pressure to impossibly get things accomplished in short order, quicker, or else. Not many an organization relies on positive motivation for their employees. Rather, they tend to believe the best way to get the optimal result is a negative work culture of pressure, panic, and kicking a person while he is down. Threats and cajoling, That's how you get the most out of people. You know what human resources is, my viewers? Yes, a long time ago, in a world far, far away, it was a department at many organizations that generally valued people as humans and did everything to make their experience more enjoyable so they would stay for longer periods, possibly their entire careers. Somewhere along the line, it was bastardized into becoming nothing more than a legal enforcement arm of a wealthy ruling class. Yes, the Human Resources Department in modern companies and organizations exist for nothing more than intimidating the workforce into submission. Now tell me exactly how that motivates most people. Well, I will let you be the judge of that. It does not, other than to motivate them out the door, and that, my friends, is exactly why so many places are now crying foul, saying that generation, whatever you want to blame, is lazy and irresponsible. What I myself have personally seen in my limited time on Earth is that organizations can either take the stance of being an advocate of their employees or take the stance of being an adversary of those same employees. You do the math on which one of those approaches that most people prefer to work for. Is it really any mystery as to why the current generation of workers chooses to simply check out? Good night and sleep well.